Hi everybody, it's Andrew Hutchings, and I decided that while I'm waiting for something, I've been busy, I'll make you a video. And this video is about something that proves to me that people don't understand anything about relationships, and that they're also just not that intelligent. And I'll let you decide what other things. It's amazing to me how common this is. Um, so maybe my viewers also will agree with people other than me and not me. Who knows? I'm gonna make a video on it. So, I have a fiance who should be my wife, but due to world events, we weren't able to get married. So, for all intents and purposes, she is my wife. So, I'll just refer to her as my wife. Um, I don't think it would be unusual for anybody to say that it's a big deal for a wife and husband to be together, and if you've been apart for like a year or two or three, um, that it's kind of important to get back together. I mean, like if something happened and you're separated, like how world events, like with COVID and stuff, families got separated. I don't think anyone intelligent would say that, oh, it's just a waste of money and effort and time to try to get your family back together. Uh, but pretty much everybody tells me when I'm talking about, because it's pretty difficult for me to get back with my wife, fiance, and she's actually, I'll just, I typically say both words just because legally she's my fiance, but she's actually my wife. I'll just say wife to make it simple. But everybody tells me that, so I'm telling them how hard it is, because it's very hard for me to get to her, especially because her country has very bad political relations with the rest of the world. So on top of coronavirus stuff, then I have the issues with her country. And even trying to call the consulates and the embassies, most of them, the phones don't even work. I don't know if they got kicked out of the United States or what happened, but I call most of them, and I just get beep, 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 or it says this number is no longer in service, blah, blah, blah. Or occasionally I get someone answering the phone, I say a few words, and they go, sorry, I don't understand you, and they hang up. So it's pretty difficult for me to get any help with the situation. Um, I had applied for a fiance visa for her a couple years ago, but right as she was going to be finishing it up, coronavirus happened and they froze those. And at the moment, even if they were to unfreeze them, because for some reason they're indefinitely frozen for certain countries, but even if they were to unfreeze her ability to get a fiance visa, she would have to go to a different country than the one she lives in to get it. And that country, due to political reasons and coronavirus, isn't allowing people from her country to go to it. So she can't get a visa to come to the United States. She's trapped in her country. There's very few places on Earth, actually. She's pretty much stuck in her country. And there's very few places on Earth that you can travel between her country and somewhere else. One of the places is Turkey, so it looks like we're going to end up. I'm going to have to go to Turkey, so I figured she should just meet me in Turkey. We'll make a vacation out of it. But when I'm telling people about, I've spent the last few days, like literally all day, trying to figure out how we're going to get together, because I had plane tickets that were going to go through Poland. She lives in Belarus, but then my plane tickets got canceled. So then I was going to get a Russian transit visa, but there's difficulties getting Russian transit visas to go through Russia. Luckily, there is one other option, a whole other option. Like, usually when you're looking at plane tickets and ways to get places, you've got a lot of options. But yeah, we've got one option. Fly to Turkey and then fly to Belarus. Luckily, it's not that bad of an option, but it is still literally only one option, one way to get there. And if for some reason she were to go to Turkey and then flights from Turkey to Belarus were canceled, she would be stranded in Turkey with no way to get home, and she can't come back to the US with me, so she would be really screwed. But yeah, when I'm talking to people about how difficult it is and expensive for us to get back together, a lot of times they're like, well, you don't really need to do that. That's like a choice. That's like a vacation you're going on. Like, you shouldn't be spending your money on that. That's unnecessary, blah, 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 blah. It's like, Since when is it just a choice to be together with your family? Technically it's a choice. But can you imagine if one of your parents was stuck in a foreign country and they haven't been with your family for a couple years, and it's going to cost you a lot of money to get them back to where the rest of your family is, and you're talking with someone and they're like, well, you shouldn't bother with that. That's just a choice. That's like a luxury to have you guys all together. You would think it's effing ridiculous, because it is. It's a big deal for a family to be together and not separated on opposite sides of the planet for a year, year and a half, 2 years, 3 years. So me and her, we've been apart for a year and a half already, a little bit longer actually. And if we don't get back together soon, we wouldn't be together for a whole nother year. So we'd be apart for 2.5 years, which we might be able to survive it relationship-wise, but also that would be no fun to be apart from your wife or anybody in your family for 2.5 years. I mean, it's a little bit different if you're a kid and you're moving out and your parents are staying, then that's a natural thing. But it's a big deal for a wife and husband to be forcibly separated for even just a few months, let alone a year, 2 years, 3 years. So yeah, I can't believe it when people tell me, oh, that's just a vacation you're going on. You don't really need to do it. Because it's not an option just to, my wife, I'll just forget about her. That's too difficult. I'll just stay where I'm at. I'll find a new wife. I'll enjoy my life here. That's too much money to get back together with my wife and be with her and have a family. I'll just find a different wife, an easier wife, a cheaper wife. Yeah, it doesn't work like that if you actually love somebody and you have a real relationship. Now, if you've got a relationship, then sure, you can just throw away your wife and find a new one that's easier and has less difficulties with life and stuff. But it's kind of you don't just choose to have new parents just because it's difficult for the parents you do have. You don't choose to get different kids just because there's difficulties with your kids. I mean, if you love your wife or husband, you don't just decide you're gonna forget about them and find a new one that's more convenient. So I don't know, this video is kind of more of a rant. I'm curious what you guys think. Do you think that it's just optional and kind of a vacation to get back together with your wife when you've been apart for a year and a half, and if you don't, the next opportunity is a whole nother year later? Or do you think that that's actually a necessity to get, I mean, you're not going to die, of course, if you don't get back together, but do you think that it's reasonable or unreasonable to think that it's very important? So do you think it's very important or not very important for a wife and husband to get back together when they've been apart for a year and a half? Do you think that's a special luxury that you don't really need? You should just be apart for another year, maybe 2 years, maybe just forget about it and find an easier one to be with? Or do you think it's actually kind of a big deal and you got to put the work in and the money in and you got to reunite the wife and husband? Personally, I think it's a really big deal. That's why no matter how hard it is and no matter how expensive it is, I'm going to get back together with my wife. I'm not just going to find a new wife. Because that would be moronic. I wouldn't have been with her in the first place if that's how our relationship was. If you can just throw your wife away and decide you're going to get a new wife because it's inconvenient, not even because your relationship's not working out between the two of you, but because other external things in life are making it inconvenient, you should never have been together to begin with. So yeah, what do you think? Am I being unreasonable to think that I should get back together with my wife? Is it a optional, expensive vacation that I'm just doing out of luxury to travel around the world and be with my wife? Or is it well, duh, of course I need to get back with my wife who I haven't seen in a year and a half? But just so you know, I am likely going to make a vacation out of it, even though I'm really low on money. We've been apart for a year and a half. I have to go to Turkey. Turkey's not that expensive, so I'm thinking that even though it's going to cost more money than me just spending 12 hours in the airport and catching the next flight out, which is 12 hours after I would arrive in Turkey, that I will stay in Istanbul for a few days, and she'll also come and stay for a few days, and then we'll go to Antalya for a few days. It's not that expensive. It's like 25 bucks a night to stay in Istanbul with breakfast included. So then we're going to pay for like lunch and dinner. And then to fly to Antalya and back to Istanbul is like 50 bucks a person. And then to stay in Antalya is like 40 bucks a night. So it's not that expensive, but it does add up. Like 25 bucks a night for, let's just say 4 nights, that's 100 bucks. Plus a few more meals brings you, let's just say 130 bucks. Then toss in up 2 of our tickets to go to the beach city and back. Antalya is a beach city. That's another 100 bucks. So just round to 250 now. 40 bucks a night in Antalya for 4 nights. That's 160. So now we're at about like 400 bucks. Plus she has to fly from Belarus to Turkey and back, which is going to be like 300 bucks. So we're looking at like $700 to make a vacation out of the fact that I'm going to be in Turkey. So it's not going to be free. It's not going to be super cheap. I mean, everything individually is cheap, but it all adds up. But personally, I think we've been apart for a year and a half. I'm going to make a vacation out of it. And by the way, this is not what I'm talking about when people say that it's like a vacation. This is something completely unrelated. I'm talking about me just going directly there to be with my wife. Forget about the Turkey stuff. Because so many people tell me that me just going to her country without that Turkey stuff that I literally just thought about today, that me going to be with my wife is like an optional vacation luxury and that I don't really need to do it. And I'm a moron for spending the money. How stupid could I be that I'm going to spend thousands? It's going to cost me $5,000 to get back with my wife. Yeah, not cheap. So yeah. And that's without the Turkey stuff for like a week, which is going to be a vacation. See, on top of being curious what you guys think, I also just wanted you guys to hear this because it's important for people to hear logical things and hopefully you think through it and realize that, that is actually reasonable to think it's really important to get back with your wife if you two love each other. You shouldn't just throw away your wife just because it's difficult and expensive to be together. Also, true love is hard to come by. So you could think about it even just from a selfish point of view, that if you don't do it, you're probably never going to find somebody that you love as much. And you can also think about it from another just about yourself. I mean, no matter how you slice it, it's stupid to not get back together with your wife if you love each other. Because even just from a purely selfish point of view, you could go, well, if I'm not with my wife, I'm not going to be as happy. I'm not going to find somebody that I'm as happy with, so I need to get back with her. You could even say that if I'm not with my wife, I can't have sex every day. So it's hilarious. Like when I know people that don't have serious relationships, and they're like, oh yeah, you spend all this money on your relationship, and you have all these difficulties. I'm like, and you're going on Tinder all the time trying to find a girl to have sex with, and it's like the hardest thing in the world for you, but I can have sex every single day when I'm with my wife. So you could actually just find a girl to have a serious relationship with, and then you'd have all the sex you want. You see, that's when thinking comes in. So it's actually a lot smarter just to have a good relationship than to have these meaningless things. But I don't want to get too off topic. So hope you like this video. You can hire me for training advice, coaching advice, plans, consultations, etc. Same thing with diet and supplements, but not medical advice because I don't want legal trouble. I already have enough difficulties, as you see, and others that you don't see. So I don't need legal trouble to add on to that. But you can hire me to consolidate medical information, put it all in one place, along with my opinion, and Yeah, my Instagram is natural_true_fitness. My website is andrewhutchings.org. And you can also hire me to tutor you in like chemistry, organic chemistry, advanced chemical biology, whatever, how to make antibody toxin molecules to destroy certain cells. I don't know, whatever you're interested in, or whatever your classes are doing. Yeah. Please give it a like and a comment, and if you want to keep watching other videos, subscribe. I've got like probably 300 videos by now, mostly on fitness stuff. But as you see, I do make some that aren't on fitness and that are on relationship stuff. So bottom line is that it's going to cost me like $5,000 to get back together with my wife, who's on the opposite side of the planet. We've been apart for a year and a half. It's very difficult and it's very costly, and most people I talk to say that I'm stupid, it's a waste of money. It's like an optional thing that I just don't need to do. I should just like forget about it, find a different wife. But I say like it's really important for me and my wife to be together, so I just simply have to spend that money. And I simply have to put the work and effort in so that we're able to get back together. It's not really an option to stay apart indefinitely for years and years.